Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan set that I have plot synopsis and character bios for these issues. So we're going to be looking at three issues: Fantastic Four 347, 348, and 349, featuring Arthur Adams. Walter Simonson was the regular writer during this time, so he did write these issues, and Arthur Adams penciled them. And we've got Wolverine, Ghost Rider, the Hulk, and Spider-Man. And we've got the Fantastic Four down and out here on this cover here. So I have all three issues. I bought them right when they came off the stand. Back then, I was in high school during 1990, and so I still have my beat up copies of these issues here. So, all right, we got a prologue. Interstellar space is mainly vacuum. Interplanetary space is slightly less so, and here inside the orbit of the moon, even with stray molecules of gas, radiation, and artificial satellites, the territory is pretty empty most of the time. And so you see nothing here, and suddenly you see like an explosion here, and now the ship seems to have gone through. There it is, Earth, but will everything hold together long enough for me to make it? And so you see the ship kind of crash landing and this thing kind of exploding. Blast! Instead of saying damn, they would say blast back then. I miss it. I wish they would go back to it. And so you can see the ship entering Earth, burning up here, lands in this forest here. And she goes, the core's about to blow. I've got to get clear. And suddenly, whoom, as it explodes here. And so my ship's totally gone. I'm marooned, but I'm alive. And those whose betrayal forced me here will live to suffer for it. And so we now get Stan Lee presents Big Trouble on Little Earth. And so we're in New York. The Freedom 4 Plaza was the headquarters during this time here. And so home of the world's greatest super team. And so, again, mommy, do it again. And we see here, and it says here, who it so happens are taking the day off. Then why were they wearing their uniforms? Goodness gracious. Easy, cowboy. If I miss you coming off your mother's force slide, you're going to be in real trouble, says Reed as he catches Franklin here. Now, Reed, he has the same complete faith in his father that his mother does. And Reed says, for little enough reason, but maybe it's not too late, Sue. I've decided we're going to find some way to give our son back the power of his birthright. Now, we've got our credits here. Walter Simonson writes, Arthur Adam pencils, and Art Thibert, as he... I always say Thibert, but I guess it's Thibert with the T, or they call him T-Bear or something like that, but I think it's Thibert. But everybody just says T-Bear, so we'll go with that. And so it says here, while in another part of the FF, and so Alicia and Johnny were married during this time here. And Alicia says, Johnny, what's the matter? You've been home 3 whole days now, and you've hardly said a word. It doesn't take a sighted person to know that something's dreadfully wrong. Won't you tell me? So this is from their adventures prior to this issue. And so because I have not covered those issues, we'll go ahead and explain here. She's right, but how can I tell my wife that I met a beautiful blue woman on a journey through time, and I can't get her out of my mind? Alicia, and then he burns this book. Blast it, he says as he walks away, and she goes, Johnny. And so Here we have the Miss Marvel of this time, who was oh my God, who was she? It wasn't Carol Danvers. It was somebody else, but now she's the Thing. And Ben Grimm is a normal person here. So it says here in the gym, a few doors away, and she goes, I was so one. It was so wonderful to be with Ben, woman to man, on the island. But now I'm doomed to wear this hideous shell, separated forever from the man I love. That was 2 issues in the past here. And so Ben comes through bringing flowers and says, Surprise, sweetie, it's your lucky day. Tickets to the Desert Rose Band at the bottom line. What do you say? And she says, That's lovely, Ben, but I couldn't think about, I don't think I could face going out in public right now. And he says, Still blue about becoming the Thing again, huh? And he says, I understand. But she says, But remember, if you want anything, just whistle. I'm here. As she's just feels terrible here. So, all right. We now see the ship here out of the beyond the orbit of Mars. It says here, subspace phase out complete, sir. We've re-entered the continuum. Negative trace of a Delilah's ship, sir. And another one here says, last known vectors indicate an earthbound trajectory. And so we see some scrolls here. Commence wide spectrum energy scan. Concentrate on Earth. It's the only scrap of life in this forsaken corner of the universe, he says. She probably gambled that her ship's smaller mass would let it phase in close to Earth without destroying her. And so this one here says, it won't do her any good. We've almost got her. This time we're going to find her and put her down. And so now back on Earth here. Pardon me, but is this the home of the Fantastic Four? And this guy goes, yes, ma'am, it surely is. And so I'd like to see them, please. And he says, I'm sorry, ma'am, but they don't see anybody without an appointment, he says. So this guy's the guard here. Besides, I'm not even certain if they're home. And so he says, surely you could at least phone up and see. You can see she's got a ring here. So yes, well, I don't see why not. He says, that's right, Dr. Ridgers. She's a young woman who, and then she goes around, she's vanished. And so, back now with Johnny looking out, what am I going to do? I can't stop thinking about Nebula, day or night. She was so beautiful it hurts. Maybe she scrambled my brains or something when she took over my mind. And it's getting worse and worse. Of course, that was in Fantastic Four 338, which I have not covered. I don't want to hurt Alicia, but I can't help what I'm feeling. Somehow I've got to put her out of my mind. And then he goes, huh, and looks back. You'll never forget me, Johnny Storm. Never. You're mine, always and forever. And he goes, Nebula, but you can't be here. That's impossible. And she, you can see her there grabbing his arm. You mean you're not glad to see me? Then why don't you pull away? All you have to do is, and so you see the ring here, so we know this wasn't her, and zaps him, pull away as he falls down. And so because I'm covering 3 issues, I'm going to move it away here. So here we see Alicia coming in and holding Ben. Ben's like, wait a minute, you're married. And of course, it's not Alicia, and you can see the hands and knocks Ben out. And then Sue comes in checking on Franklin. Suddenly Namor is there. Of course, it's not. And Alicia does come in here, and he just no, I don't think this is Alicia. Somebody comes in here, and he just boom, or she. So look at that. And so now, pretending to be Ben, gives her a drink because of course he can't do that thing, and knocks her down. So now we're gonna try the same thing on Mr. Fantastic here. She's pretending it's Sue and goes to grab, and as soon as he's gonna touch her, boom, and he just kind of freaks out. It doesn't really knock him down, at least. It doesn't look like it completely. And he goes, "Intruder, not Sue, of course. I've lost motor control of my body. Her device must create some sort of neural interference." And of course, she thinks his elastic abilities must render him partially immune to the disruptor's effects. And Reed goes, the likeness is too good. Must be a shapeshifter." And so she lands on Reed here. "I've got to render him helpless before he can summon aid." And so she goes, "But she knew about the Rad D, a telepath. I must send an alarm to alert the Avengers." And so she says, "Hard to hold on, even injured. He's trying to throw me off. If I can just reach the control panel." All of a sudden, zoom. And so she manages to knock Reed. And this is just a weird inking line, by the way. I know that Art Adams is most likely, because he's doing 3 issues in the 3 months, is probably a little rushed here. But it just always found it weird. Rob Liefeld just did a podcast and says Arthur Adams is probably the number one inspiration for the Image guys. And I believe it. I totally see it. So anyway, we'll continue here. "Incredible. I thought Richards would be the least of the Fantastic Four. I seriously underestimated him, but no matter." And she says, I have done in minutes what the Skrull Empire has failed to accomplish in years. The Fantastic Four are mine. I find Reed Richards rather attractive. A pity he's so observant. Had he not noticed my disruptor, we might have enjoyed ourselves before it became necessary to put him under." And so we continue here, and we see the Skrull have found that lady. So now they've arrived on Earth here. And this guy here says, "Assume geosynchronous orbit above the planet. Begin a wide spectrum scan for Skrull mind wave indices." And another one says, "No matter how she may have disguised herself, she will not remain hidden for long." Well, I guess it could have been the same guy. So, and so this guy goes, "Sir, I'm receiving high density Skrull-like readings." And this guy says, "So am I." And this guy says, "There are dozens of them. Bearing indicates that the primary source is a single location in the great ocean below us." And he says, "Cloak the ship and take us down. This warrants a closer look." And so they arrive, and this looks like Monster Island. And so look at that volcano with the face here. "That's it, sir. The readings are emanating from that curious-looking island below us." And so the captain says, "Initiate landing sequence, Mr. Megaroar. If it isn't Delilah, it's something the Skrull Empire should know about." And so they land here. "Landing party, stand by. We'll keep the station here until we return." And so they come out here, which is another saying, "You're expendable. Maybe we should just wear bullseye on our backs," he says. "I didn't hear that, Private. Let's begin a detailed scan of the area immediately. If I don't get it. It can't be Delilah. There's more than one of whatever it is." And so he keeps going. "The percentage of Skrull mind waves similarity ranges from 73.36 to nearly 94%. And anyway, why would there be Skrull-like readings anywhere on Earth?" And he says, "Beats me." And so, "Well, whatever it is, we can handle it. Skrull warriors are the most fearless in the universe." And suddenly they both scream. This is so awesome here. So, oh my goodness. You see these two monsters going at it, and these two are like, "Ah!" And so they start to run. "I think we've seen enough, Bagley. Let's, back to the ship on the double." "Yes, sir, right away, sir." And so this guy here, "We have visual sightings on the scouting party, sir. Preliminary indications are that we're not dealing with Skrulls, and there are several much more creatures in the immediate area that the scouting party will encounter shortly. Each individual seems unique, but they all exhibit a primitive Skrull-type brain structure. Curious." And so this guy says, our scientists can ponder that later. I have an idea. Arm the slave darts, targeting each of the creatures within range. Attach a remote mind scanner to each, and prepare to discharge them on my signal. Whatever these things are, they're going to help us locate Delilah. And so they target each one, and you can see that it hits them, and they're now under the control here. And he says, program all to maximum ferocity level. That will increase the mental stress level across the planet, and watch our scanners. That should flush our prey soon enough. So, all right. Now we've got the Mole Man, and he's sitting on his little throne room here, and he says, who disturbs my silent hour of contemplation? Step forward and speak, that I may judge you. And this guy here says, Master, a disturbance. Some craft has landed on Monster Isle. And he says, and Master, whoever it is has taken control of the inhabitants of the isle. And Mole Man says, what? The dwellers are under my protection. Whoever dares to interfere with them does so at his own peril. Come, Ugu, let's see what manner of being has been foolish enough to disturb the Mole Man's domain. So here they're going. Perhaps we should allow them to live long enough to regret it. So, all right. And so back in New York. And so she goes, Richard's equipment is all that I hoped it would be. There's no record of anything that will assist in my search, but the variety of super beings on this planet is greater and more varied than anywhere else on the known universe. And so she's looking at a couple of different heroes here. And with the aid of the Fantastic Four's computers, I shall locate those who need... I need to help me achieve my destiny. And she goes, these four should be sufficient for my purposes, and a little guile will deceive such simple beings with ease. And so she hears an alarm here, beep, 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 and she says, some sort of automatic monitor. I wonder what. And so this reporter is saying about the monsters coming out. And so now we go to Spider-Man here. And he's like, it looks like it's a dull evening. I might as well pack it in and go home. And great piece by Arthur Adams here. And he's actually the originator of this web here that you see. Anyway, he says, that's funny. My spider sense is starting to tingle, and I get the feeling that somebody somewhere is calling my name. Seems to be getting stronger as I head toward the East River. And so it's leading me right to Four Freedoms Plaza. I don't like this at all. My spider sense is ringing like a 4-alarm fire. Whatever's happening must be real ugly. And so we arrive, and this is the Mr. Fix-It era of the Hulk. And so he says, Hulk says, I'm not going to ask you again, shrimp. And Wolverine says, you're lucky I'm in a good mood tonight, Hulk, or you'd be wearing your undershorts around your ears by now. So let me say it in words of one syllable. I don't call you, and I don't know what's going on. And so Spider-Man arrives and says, Hulk and Wolverine, what are you guys doing in the Big Apple? And they both say, none of your business, wise guy. And he's like, forget I asked. And so while the two of them continue, here comes this guy here, and he says, Mrs. Richards said she'd be on front. She'd like to speak with you. And he says, you gotta be kidding me. Nobody orders the Hulk around, especially not some fresh-faced kid just out of kindergarten. He's like, oh. And Wolverine says, chill out, Hulk. If he gets tough, I'm betting you can take him. And if it's the FF, I'm betting it's important. And so Hulk says, all right, smart guy, let's see what the score is. I don't like anybody messing around in my head. And so the guard says, she's waiting upstairs in the penthouse, but where's the fourth one? And Spider-Man says, nobody here but us chickens. Who else are you expecting? And of course, we get the arrival of Ghost Rider. You see the roar, and he just goes and dashes by them. and goes up the building. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And so they all look up here. This is just awesome. And so Hulk jumps out and Spider-Man goes through. And so he asks, "What about you?" I love the fact that he's drawn appropriately by height here. Wolverine's supposed to be short, and he's like freaking show offs. So, and so he's gonna take the elevator here. It says, "Next time I hear voices in my head, I'm gonna take a nap here." So he arrives here and sees the place is a wreck here, and you see Spider-Man consoling um, the fake Invisible Woman, and he says, "Please, Mrs. Richards Sue, you've got to get a hold of yourself and tell us what happened." I don't know, but what happened, not for certain. And she goes, "I was out shopping, and when I returned, I found it like this and worse. That's why I used one of Reed's latest inventions, a mental alarm resonator, to call for help. It's only experimental, but I have to try. And call your name." And Hulk says, "Tough luck, babe. I'm out of here. Nobody fools around with my mind." And the Hulk's in no mood for fairy tales. And she says, "Hulk, wait. There's something I must show you." And so, "You may wish to stay, Hulk, and I fear this is no fairy tale. Already innocent blood has been spilled." "You're right, Ghost Rider." Sorry, that was Ghost Rider. "You're right, Ghost Rider. More right than you know. Come inside." And so she sees the bodies of the Fantastic Four, which of course are not dead. And Spider-Man's like, "Oh no, you were summoned in response to the blood of my family." And Hulk says, "It isn't possible, are they?" And she says, "All dead, Hulk, and their killer still lives." And Spider-Man's like, "My spider sense was tingling like crazy, but I never thought it would be something like this," as Wolverine and Ghost Rider just kind of examine. And so we're almost at the conclusion of our issue here. And Spider-Man says, "Are we the first to know?" And she says, "Yes, Spider-Man. I haven't told anyone yet because if the word were to get out that the Fantastic Four are dead, our enemies would resurface. Right now, we can't afford that. When I arrived home, Reed was still alive, barely. He didn't tell me much. He didn't have time, but the Fantastic Four have always known that their lives were on the line. We made that choice. Before he died, Reese warned of a terrible threat against humanity. The enemy has caused the great beasts of the earth to rise up against mankind, but the monsters aren't the real dangers. The Avengers, the armed forces, and the others will stop them or delay them. The real threat are the beings who killed my family, so we couldn't stop them. The ones who are driving the monsters against us, and unless they are found and stopped, millions of innocents will die too." And Hulk says, "Sounds like work. How are we supposed to find these drivers?" And so she gives him this thing here. Reed was able to record his assassin's energy configurations before the enemy overwhelmed them. Hidden somewhere on Earth, that energy is driving these monsters, and that's where the assassins are to be found. This device will locate them, but they are deadly. Even the four of you may not be able to stop them. And so, the one the one of me can stop anybody, says Hulk. But these guys can come along for the ride. And this is a beautiful, beautiful. Ghost Rider says, "There shall be a just measure of vengeance." And Spider-Man says, "Looks like I may be a little late for dinner tonight." And Wolverine says, "Just call us the new FF, Webhead. Now let's go kick us some butt and take us some names." Next, where monsters dwell. So that will be our next issue here. So bear with me for just a moment because I think this is worth looking again. So, all right. And so I love this cover. Here comes 348, the new Fantastic Four. And so isn't this an awesome cover? I love this. "Nuff said, bub," says Wolverine here. Look at this. This is so cool. And I like the fact that Wolverine is not in his costume. So that is pretty cool. Arthur Adams and our Art Thibert do the cover here. So where monsters dwell, or is it where creatures roam? And so here come our heroes here. So we're going to kind of move this along here. Same credits except for a penciling assistance with Gracine Tanaka. And then Al Milgrom does 3 pages of inking here. And so they're in this vehicle here, and Spider-Man's being Spider-Man, and Hulk says, "You can always get out and walk." And so we get a brief recap of the previous of what happened and how they ended up in these things. And here Hulk says, "I'll get him. You guys can just watch me do it." So Wolverine wonders if this thing has any beer, and Spider-Man's like, "How do you think of that right now?" And Wolverine says, "We'll get nasty when we catch the guys that we're looking for here." So they're following those energy signatures, and Spider-Man says about 1,000 miles away. And Ghost Rider is like, let's let us depart, that vengeance may be meted out. So he is ready to go here. So, all right. And so our mystery person here says they've gone at last, and this pretense is no longer necessary. The misguided earthlings shall slay my enemies, and I shall have the time I need to achieve my goal here on Earth. And so she's looking for someone who's going to take a look, and she says that there's records of various landings of the Skrull, but the one she's looking for is not, she cannot find him. And she says here, "And unless I can locate it, my efforts will have been in vain." So she's looking for someone. I also like the shadow on the face here. And so she says that this computer system is it's more than she can handle. So she's gonna get Reed Richards to help her here. And so now we're back in Monster Isle here. We see the Skrull ship here. And so the Skrull Empire will reward us handsomely if we bring back Delilah back, dead or alive, and kill us if we fail. And so they continue talking here, and the Mole Man is watching them, and you can see one of the monsters is in there, and he's observing and notices that it's not human. He thought they were human, but he's like, an alien on my island disturbing my monsters. And so a Mole Man tells this one, "Fetch." And so now we are back at Four Freedoms Plaza. I like the this around the eyes. Everyone's covered up here, and so it's set up in such a way that if they try to get together or get out, you'll see that they'll choke because of how they're tied through Miss Marvel here. So she gets rid of them here, and of course grabs Reed Richards here, and she says, "I've dropped the mind locks I said to him. He's coming around." And so she grabs him here and says, "Let's not waste time, Richards. As you've already guessed, I'm not your precious wife, but I hold the lives of your family in my hands. I need you to find something for me. Succeed, and I'll let you and your teammates live. Fail, and they'll all die horribly. And don't bother trying to stretch. I've removed your ability to control your own form." And so he says, "You don't leave me much choice." And then he thinks whoever it is a perfect duplicate of Sue, and probably a telepath of some sort, but without her purpose and whereabouts of the others, I'm helpless. And so he says, "Very well, I'll do whatever you want. Just what are you looking for?" So she says, "An egg, Richards. An egg as you have never dreamed of. We're looking for an inorganic technodroid, an ITT. It's a dormant state. An ITT is a sphere, but self-propelled, capable of concealing itself until it has ready to hatch, and it can defend itself if necessary. It's somewhere out there, Richards, hiding. It must have been seen at some point. But where in this voluminous records of your society is the answer? Oh, sorry, somewhere out there is the answer, and I want it. So Reed says I can access literally billions of bits of data through a variety of news services and computer networks, but I can't promise anything. And she's like, just find it. Although personally, I think you should dump your wife. It's a pity you caught on so quickly. When I captured you, we could have had some fun. And so Reed thinks here, it's curious. She looks exactly like Susan, so naturally. She's quite beautiful, but there's something even more exciting about her. So, Reed Richards is a bit of a naughty guy. So, all right. So here come our heroes. They're heading to Monster Isle here, and so they're going to, well, not Monster Isle per se. They're going to try to stop some of these monsters here that are being sent throughout. So, all right. So our heroes are now in Washington D.C. here, and you can see this one is attacking this airplane here. I don't know how he can fly, but that is still very cool here. And so Hulk jumps out again. I'm covering 3 issues, so I'm trying to kind of hurry a little bit here. So Hulk hits this here. That is a cool image here. Look at that. That is so awesome. Arthur Adams is really good. Really, really good. So here comes Spider-Man now. He's going to try to help the passengers here. And now Ghost Rider is going to do his thing here. Wolverine is kind of just an afterthought. Just kind of everybody else is doing stuff, and Wolverine's just kind of on that little device here. So back to the scrolls here. Captain, fully integrated scroll mindwave readings. We found her. She's in the middle of New York City. And he says, excellent. Well done. Recall the scouting parties. Antimatter generators online. All boards to green. We depart in 5 minutes. We'll nail her before she knows what's happening. Arm the blockbusters. And then this guy says, sir, I'm getting another scroll type reading. 63% similarity right next to the ship, but there's nothing out there. Seismic activity, Captain. It's some sort of tremor. What do we do? But before any of the scrolls can move, boom. So, all done. So, back here now, we see the Hulk here fighting this monster here, and he makes it get off, and then he leaps into the cycle here, and Spider-Man says, knock it off, Hulk. The energy trace we've been tracking just vanished, and that thing's heading southeast on the same bearing we're traveling when we spotted it. We've got to follow it. In case you've forgotten, it was the Fantastic Four who died. And he's like, who died and left you in charge? Don't get smart with me, Spider-Man. You don't really want to tick me off. So, good old Mr. Fix-It. And so, they're following him here, and they're saying to the Bermuda Triangle. And so, here we go. And so they reach Monster Isle here. And so they go down here, and I like this part. Whatever we're looking for is down inside there somewhere. No problem, he goes. And he's like, hey, don't the rest of us get a vote? Nope. So back to Fort Freedom's Tower. I may have something, most likely, read here. And he's saying about these campers here and this thing here. This is from the National Enquirer, which of course was not exactly the best news source here. And so she's like, let's go. And my family, and she says they'll remain here. Well, perhaps getting away from here might do a bit of good for the rest of us. And so this is their cybernetic robot-ish secretary here. She goes, Dr. Richards, I've been getting some strange reading from various parts of the laboratory. Is anything wrong? And Uh, she says, I don't think you'd better tell your robot receptionist what's going on, darling. Of course, dear. I've been doing a little work on the computer records, bringing them up to date, Roberta. If anyone asks, we're just taking a little day trip together. Everything's fine. And Roberta, in view of the national emergency, be sure that to tell all my friends in the Marines. And so that, of course, had to be some kind of code that he had already programmed. So, all right. So off they go here. And they're in the Catskills Mountains here. And so they arrive to this rock faller, and she uses her thing to clear the tunnels here, and down they go. So it looks like everybody's heading to the same place for some reason here. So, and then of course now we are back with the mole man here. That's far enough. I think the time has come to greet our guests in the appropriate manner. And so shake them out. And so off they go here. And they fall in. And Captain, we're surrounded. What do we do? And Moleman says, you'll do what I tell you to do, or my subterraneans will tear you to pieces. Now stand up. I want to know who you are and what you're doing with my monsters. And I want to know now, he says here. And so here comes our heroes, but of course they bump into this monster here, and they're like, "Oh, brother, hey, I recognize him. It's a giant creature the mole man used to attack New York City years ago. He looks like a kid with a new toy." And Ghost Rider says, "I don't think he sees us." "Well, we'll fix that," says Hulk, and uh the creature steps on Hulk's foot, which of course actually hurts here, and you can see him screaming out in pain. And so he smashes, or he punches the creature here, and the creature goes grump. And so hey, he's faster than he looks. Well, he's pretty big too. So he grabs the Hulk here. He's like, he's squeezing me like a tube of crest. "Oh, what do we do now?" And so Wolverine pops his claws and says, "Well, we could just say good riddance. Why don't we give him a hot foot instead here?" So he jabs the creature, which of course he screams in pain and lets go of the Hulk here. And so now we've got everybody now in Monster Isle here. And so um let's see here. Hulk says, "If that oversized tomato plant is one of yours, Pee Wee, then we're just the guy we want to see." And the Ghost Rider says, "Be quiet, Hulk. There's more to this than we suspect. Justice will be served, but only when we know the truth." And Spider-Man's like, "Just give me a second to parlay, guys, but watch my backs." And so he says, "Listen, Mr. Mole Man, sir, we haven't really come looking for trouble." And so he kind of tells him he's looking for the scrolls, and he says that he has them. And then he's like, "Can we get them?" And then he's like, "How do I know you can be trusted?" He says, "Well, quite honestly, you don't, but you do seem to have the advantage of the numbers." "Good answer. Follow me, but don't stray off into the tunnels." And so everybody's here, and so they're like, "Hey, they're missing one," and of course there's no one there. And so these two, of course, are like, "Huh, okay." And so they start stomping out all these rocks here, and they're like, "Hey, there's one more." And of course he's like, "Okay, you got me." And so they're in there and says, "All right, let's." So sorry, Spider-Man says, "Better tell us what's going on, Captain," while the Hulk's off in one of his good moods. He goes, "Never, Earthling. Skrull commandos can resist any form of torture. We're answerable to the Emperor alone." "Oh, good. I like it when they don't talk." And Ghost Rider grabs him. "We have no time to waste." And so he looks at the pen and stares. He goes, "No, Our mission was simple. Among a few malcontents within the Skrull homeworld is a small, I don't know how that word, cadre, I don't know, of rebels bent on the assassination of the Emperor." And so he says, one of their leaders, a Skrull female named Delilah, escaped and fled towards Earth, although even her captured Confederates are ignorant of her actual plans. It is clear that they believe that she will obtain the aid by which the Emperor will be slain. We must stop her. We have employed the great creatures because we discovered that their mind structure bears striking similarities to the Skrull minds, making them susceptible to slave darts, which had planned to excite the level of mental activity on Earth until we could locate Delilah's whereabouts. And then Wolverine says, and then off her. And so Spider-Man says he may be at least telling part of the truth. Their equipment is responsible for generating the energy we've been following, but whether or not. And so this guy goes, Captain Luke, the Earthling holds an experimental subtronic spectroanalyzer. And Moment's like, what's he babbling about? And so Spider-Man says, it's this device. And she goes, it was given to me by a lady back in New York City, and of course they know it's been Delilah. And so the heroes probably have figured it out. So here comes Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman here, and they're like, once they see her, all goes, good. That gives us the trouble of having to find her. I get first dibs. And Reed Richards is like, nope. And so he says, you get her over my dead body. And Hulk is like, no problem. Seeing as we already saw Richards' dead body, it looks like you're going to get your wish, you scummy Skrull. So, all right, next issue, Eggs Got Legs. So one more to go. And so number 349. Great cover here. And featuring the world's most exploitative cameo. So a cameo of the Punisher. So he doesn't actually guest star, it's just a cameo. You'll see at the very end here. So these issues are so fun. So Eggs Got Legs, or Love Conquer All. So we've got all the Subterraneans here, and the credits as well. And Al Milgrom inks most of this issue, with Art Thibert only doing the first 3 pages here. So he probably was like, yeah, no, thank you. All right, so. And so she reveals herself to actually be Delilah, which we had already figured it out. And so she says, you must believe me, help me, and kill them. And so she's using some kind of hypnotic thing so she's letting them know that she's the victim here. And the Moment says, child, you have touched my heart. I too have known the stigma of ostracism. All right. Oh, big words. I will help you, my subterraneans. Hear the words of your master. Slay the Skrulls. And they're like, stop, don't listen to her. She's a low-level telepath who can influence your thoughts. And of course, it's no use, he says. So here they come. And so Ghost Rider's like, whatever crimes the Skrulls has committed, this woman seeks their death through treachery. I must not allow it, but against so many, what can be done? And so he uses, he goes in here and he goes, what is this? I feel power I have not felt before. Flames are leaping forth as if by command. And so they're like, back off, a wall of flame, but how? Let the fire's purifying effect cleanse their mind. And so all of a sudden everyone's like, wait, what happened? And of course she had done hypnotizing, and so now they're escaping here. And so Hulk throws a big boulder to try to keep them, but he misses them and they got away here. So and then he goes, that may have been the real Reed Richards. I bet she used her powers on him the first time. And so she's probably got the FF hidden somewhere as hostages against Reed. And Wolverine says, could be, but with her power, maybe she can't tell she's not Sue Richards anymore. Or maybe he doesn't care. And so Moma says, it no longer matters. The two of them are heading down the deepest levels of my domain. Even I cannot effectively control the creatures that dwell there. Who knows what evil they may unleash? And Hulk is like, that's just great. And so they're going to track them here. And so our heroes continue. I don't know how they can see, but hey, we'll just. There's a bomb there, and it's a cave in, and so now the Hulk's gonna hold it again here. And so just like Secret Wars here. Um, so if you remember, Hulk held a whole mountain range. So, all right. So they arrive here, and um she's like still using her mind control. She's like, I just want you to know how much I appreciate what you've done for me. I want to thank you by giving you everything your heart desires. I have the power. And she changes this back to Sue. And of course she says, I'll be everything she was to you and more. Reed, I need you and you need me. A woman can always tell. So she's working her mojo. And of course she's like, he's mine, as the two of them kiss here. And so um she says, and now, dearest, before we go any further, I'll tell you exactly what we're looking for so you can help me. The inorganic technodroids are a series of indestructible synthetic entities so powerful that the Empress may control them. They're hatched under the most guarded and secret conditions, but this one was secured at a great cost and smuggled out of the Empire. With its power, I shall shake the Empire. And so, back to Hulk, he says, hurry up, I'm getting tired of this. And Ghost Rider says, stand away from the wall. And Hulk is like, for Pete's sake, what's good's a grubby chain gonna do? Spider-Brain, come here and hold up the ceiling while I go get us out of here. And so here we go. And so he's digging a tunnel, and Hulk lets the stuff go here. So back to Four Freedoms Plaza here. They're going to try to get away, but now we figure out that she's trying to flex, but she can't flex because of the ropes. So as she tries to, she's choking them. So, but Franklin shows up, and now he's going to free them here. And that was Alicia. It just, the coloring was a little different here. And so Roberta is the one who sent Franklin there because he used that Marines thing here. So I don't know, she figured it out. It's comic books here. And so she's letting them know that he's in Monster Isle. So here come the Fantastic Four to go help him here. So they're looking at these rock carvings. Again, I don't know how they can see anything. They are underneath the earth. It should be dark, but hey, it's all right. And so the monster is guiding the egg here. So Reed's going to try to get him away from it. And so you can see that he threw that rock. So the monster goes, checks it out. And so here they go. Hulk arrives, and she's threatened. She goes, when the Hulk arrives, she goes, you'll do nothing, monster. I didn't travel all those light years to be stopped now. One more step and my synapse disruptor will turn his face into a memory. He's like, but sweetheart, stand still, Richards. You cannot move unless I will it. Now get up there and tear that ship to pieces, and you better hurry before that creature returns. Why, I ought to. And Spider-Man says, Hulk, wait, we can't jeopardize Reed's life. Not now. We'll get our chance. And so Hulk goes up there and smashes to get in there, and there's that egg. And so he smashes that, and the egg comes down, and they need to stop it because it's rolling through. So he's going to use the chains to stop it here. And so they're like, Wolverine, the locking mechanism rotates within the shell, and your claws can jam it. So he uses them and does that, and Spider-Man hits the web and hits that thing, and it opens up, and she's like, yes, yes. the last egg is mine. And so Hulk's like, sorry, lady. End of the line. I still don't know what that thing is, but anything that carefully protected has to be powerful. And you're the last person who ought to be getting it. If Richards was in his right mind, he'd agree with me. And so she's like, he is in his right mind. You're the last person in the world to stop me. You have lived too long already, monster. And so she hits him, but ends up the removing his clothes. That's all. And so the moment has arrived, and he's like, I want the egg. And so he sends his underlings here, and so there's a ton of them. But here finally comes the love this picture of Wolverine here. And so here comes the Fantastic Four with the Human Torch, and they have arrived. Now, this is Ben, but he's wearing like an armor. Okay, so he is human, and so this is like an armor of his old stuff. So that's why. And so now we've got the Thing and the Hulk and Spider-Man and the Human Torch. So here we go. We're gonna get our big battle here. Oh my God, this Spider-Man looks absolutely beautiful. Very Todd McFarlane-ish. And so Spider-Man goes to grab it, but she turns into Mary Jane, and he pauses, and boom, she gets rid of him here. And there we go. He still is able to grab the egg, and so they go, and now the monster catches it. He's like, sniff, because she was being like a mom to that egg. And Moment's like, I want that egg. And so it falls and kills them. So here we go. And so we're going to have the monsters now fighting here. And so the captain's like, everyone's attention is focused on the creature. Soldier, the day of destiny is here. We will be true to our oaths, Captain. Then I will proceed. The inorganic technodroids are the Empress's ultimate bodyguards. They are birthed in her chambers when she is alone, and they are imprinted by the first living thing they see. And though they live to serve her only until they are recycled. But the egg was taken to become the perfect assassin, infiltrating her identical bodyguard and slaying her. Our company swore to recover the missing egg or destroy it, and now we have no choice. This device will obliterate everything within the Great Cave, and unlike the egg's protective devices, it cannot be deactivated. The Empress will be safe. And they're like, did you guys hear all that? Enough to wish I were back in Vegas. And so, now what? And so all of a sudden, boom, the egg hatched, and here it comes. And so, Groomph, Groomph. So it has imprinted with the Thing, and they're like, by the favor of the Empress, the Technodroid is imprinting on her. No, it cannot be. Stop it. Too late. It's done. And she's like, I've been robbed. Oomph. And so, oh no, she knows about the bomb, and so she's gonna go and take care of it, and it blows up, and of course the mom's unhappy, but he's okay, and so look at that. Aww, she was about to kill them. And so she's like, hey, let's go, and turns back into her and gives them the powers, and then kisses them, and of course they catch him, and she's like, he's mine. And then she was going to use a thing, but of course he used the stretchy things to remove the things away from him, and then he punches her. And so, and then he really does kiss the real Invisible Woman. So, all right. And so Ghost Rider's going to give her the penance stare, which of course makes her regret all the decisions, and tells these guys, you need to take her out of here, don't come back, yada yada yada. And Moment is like, have you so soon forgotten the Moment? The prize has eluded me, but you are still mine. And Spider-Man's like, Come on, pal. Let's face it. The party's over. We have. What have you got? A few million subterraneans. And what have we got? The Fantastic Four, the Hulk, Wolverine, Ghost Rider. How much damage do you think they could do? He's like, good idea. So he lets them all go. And so we get to the last page here, and here comes the Punisher. And he's like, it's all done. He sees the heroes, and off he goes. So awesome. So told you it was just a cameo. So here we go. So Fantastic Four 347, 348, and 349, written by Walter Simonson, penciled by Arthur Adams, with Art Thibert and Al Milgrom on the inks. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it, because it's an enjoyable story. So I was big gung ho when I got these as a teenager. So goodbye.